All right, everybody, welcome back to Blades and Blasters. Welcome back to our Legend of the Five Rings 4th edition campaign. Legend of the Five Rings Beyond Loving Grief. Tonight we are back in action after a month-long break due to some scheduling conflicts. We are entering upon Chapter 9, wherein our adventurers are traveling to the valley town of Kijo. And we will go ahead and kick this off. Your site should be fine there. Let me know if it's not. And here's our introduction, as I am wont to do. Spring has waned, and the first days of summer bring a sun that rises red and hot in the east. It casts a long shadow westward, outlining Inugami Ishi's tall frame and top knot as the samurai marches in the company of his new friends. In his right hand, Inugami Ishi clutches a parchment. They continue to march, for they left Kijo over a day ago, and seek the valley town of Kijo, where rumors of unrest spread like poisonous vines. Ishi has gone over the words illumined in the scroll time and time again. Since Miromuto Shimizu's duel and the death of Miromuto Satoshi in the court of Kijo, Ishi has considered this mystery. Who is the Viper? How is Satoshi involved? Does his father play a role in this? And what would the motivation for a third party to foment war and seize power in the Midlands that contain both Kijo and Chowking? Thus far, the answer has eluded him. The companions stop for water and food beneath the cryptomeria tree, and Inugami Ishi removes his straw hat and sits down on a rock in the shade. He deftly undoes the leather tongue that binds the scroll and reads. This is to recap the letter. As the summer sun rises, it brings heat to all people. And as the people warm, they sweat and toil in the sun. They are angry. They dig and dig, but find no refreshment, and the breeze never cools them. Who is their master? They have none. They are angry without direction. And it is the wise and strong man to guide those who have lost the way. A forest fire brings rejuvenation. A flood brings fertile ground. A kingdom of resentful men brings room for a new ruler. It is in this space that the wise and strong stand. It is here we stand, my friend. Still reading the letter. Take heart. My poetry is feeble, but it carries with it a poignant message. Do as we promised, and the onset of autumn will bring with it good luck, great fortune, and good tidings. Look to Kijo and the surrounding valley. They will rise soon, and the Viper will strike. Signed, Inugami Tai. Inugami Ishi frowns. His eyes narrow as the sun finds a space between the tree branches, and it blinds him. He rolls the parchment back up and ties it and puts it away in a cloth satchel slung at his left side. By dinner, they will be in Kijo. By dinner, the next chapter in this mystery will be revealed. As they walk, and the fields of Kijo lay before them, Ishi's frown deepens as he ponders love and duty, and if they ever come into conflict. And as the camera pans down over low mountain ranges, in the valley between Kijo and Chowking, the camera gets closer and closer to a path upon which 5 forms tread lightly. And in the distance you see a small town nestled against a lake as it curves and winds its way between the mountains. You're not yet to Kijo. You're perhaps an hour away. And I'll let you guys take it away with roleplay.
Hibiki, she walks with the others, fairly, I guess, not quite light in her step, as they left Kijo, maybe a bit lighter, as they get closer and closer to Kijo. Inside Hibiki's head, she worries for what will happen once they reach there. Whether things have already started, things have gotten moving, how the people there will receive them, what exactly they're to expect. Now there was so much more for Hibiki to worry about with her and Ishii's betrothal. A heavy heart that comes with venturing with someone you love, and the worry that comes with if something would happen to them and what you would do. And Hibiki, she walks with the others, though lost in thought, looking to the birds as they fly in the sky. And yeah, they're getting married. That was at the end of last episode.
As Inogami Ishii tucks the scroll into his satchel at his left side, he looks to Hibiki. Hibiki-sama, I sense that your heart is heavy. While my heart is light, as I walk beside you, my mind, it seems, will not stop running. It is as if the birds wheeling overhead are these thoughts. Dark have been my dreams of late, and I worry about this plot we have become embroiled in. I have duty to my family, Hibiki. Duty to Shao King. It is hard sometimes to know where my loyalty should lie. With my family, my adopted father, or with you, Hibiki-sama, my love.
Hibiki looks to Ishii, gives him a bit of a nod in understanding. I understand the conflict that goes on inside you. Understand there's much to weigh and much to think about. But now with the coming days, what is to be with you and I, my loyalty, of course, still goes with family, but you shall be part of that family very soon. So of course it lies with you. Whatever decisions that you make, I will follow with all my heart and with my duty.
Aye. It makes my steps lighter on the last leg of this journey, Hibiki-sama, to hear your kind and loving words. With you by my side, it will be hard for my father to say nay. Even if this shadowy plot gets legs, my loyalty will be with you and Shao King. Perhaps they will be one and the same.
One can only hope. Ishii-sama.
Right. And Kitsuki Hibiki would... I'm going to give you 1 XP extra for roleplay and the betrothal from last time. I forgot to do that. And I do believe you will get some honor for declaring your love openly.
Ooh.
Because it does put you in a bind as far as your honor goes. Now, if Inogami Ishii is shamed, it would shame you as well. So give yourself 0.2 of honor.
I am so close to 6.
Nice.
Also, a little more housekeeping. Shimizu-sama, you would have had a glory gain of 7 points, so a 0.7 from the duel with in Ikcho, unless if you didn't do that. If you win a duel honorably, which I would say you did, give yourself 0.7. And all of you would get one whole rank of glory, not honor, but glory, for completing this quest in Kijo.
Sweet.
And basically Act 1 of the campaign.
Nice.
And as you come down out of the low mountains, before you stretches low fields, rice paddies. Here and there you see straw hats stooped over in the rice paddy, working in the fields. And Shimizu, Hisoka, and Hidetaka, I'll let you roleplay.
Hisoka follows along, fairly quiet, enjoying himself as he travels. He quite enjoys being on the road, of course, as was before. So he pays a lot more attention to the side of the road, the various people, kind of giving small acknowledgments, appropriately so. Aside from that, just enjoying the weather and the travel. Birds occasionally flying overhead, singing as he whistles. He definitely seems to be giving Ishii and Hibiki some space as well.
Hidetaka travels and mainly keeps his eyes to the views. Particularly this scenery, finds it very pleasing outside of the views he's grown accustomed to in Kijo. He's been uncharacteristically quiet, thinking of all the things I may encounter. But does remain mostly alert as he's going along, not having drank too much sake the night before.
Did we hear any of Ishii and Hibiki's conversation at all?
I don't think they were particularly trying to be quiet. You walked on. If you're for story purposes, if it makes more sense for you to hear it, I'd be fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Shimizu's walking with the other two, and he hears these two talking and professing their loves for each other, and it's kind of like if you would hear your sister or somebody similar to that talking that way. Kind of gives a big eyebrow raise to Hidetaka and just shakes his head ever so slightly. But he doesn't say anything, but he looks uncomfortable.
No. Inogama Ishii turns to Shimizu as Shimizu drops a few steps back along the path. What is wrong, Shimizu-sama? Do not sell yourself short. You will meet a lady one day, although I thought she would be as grand here as Hibiki-sama.
I have known Hibiki-sama since she had snot coming out of her nose when we were children. Kind of gives her a look.
And I can count on you to protect her, even if I should fall in battle, Shimizu-sama.
Of course, Ishii-sama. It is my duty, of course, to protect you and your family to be.
A family. That does sound nice to have a family of my own someday. How does that sound to you, Hibiki-sama?
I would very much enjoy having a family with you very soon, Ishii. And she looks to Shimizu. It is a good thing that we are not children now, as there is nothing coming out of my nose at this point, Shimizu.
Are you sure?
Would you like to check to be positively sure?
Nah. I'm too busy defending you from bandits and others that would do you harm.
Hey, the rice patties are very dangerous on this walk, yes.
Aye.
Very much so. If you were to trip and fall into a rice paddy, it could go deeper than you expect, and you could drown.
I am very sure that Shimizu-san will save me from any potential rice patty dangers, Uncle. I have full confidence in him.
Never underestimate the wrath of nature.
I will not, Uncle.
Hisoka maintains his pace. He's kind of up ahead a little ways, presumably, kind of keeping an eye out for anything that would be amiss along the road. And he is able to smile quite safely up ahead, given that the others wouldn't be able to see it easily. He stifles a giggle as the others continue to converse.
Hisoka, can you give me a just give me an investigation roll, please. Investigation perception, yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Oh yeah. So as you get closer and closer to the to Kijo, all of you see tendrils of black smoke wafting into the air. Not fires of doom and destruction, but probably hearths and even probably more likely anvils and forges. For as you get closer, kind of echoing out over the river, you can hear the hammering of hammers on anvils and that sort of thing, which is not crazy for a village this size, but the cacophony is certainly more than you would expect. But Hisoka, even more as you go along, you take a step and you feel something soft under the ball of your right foot. Looking down, kind of half in the muck and twisted among the reeds of rice, you see a small doll clad as a wasp archer. You would know this doll as belonging to your eldest daughter at one point.
Yeah, Hisoka grows quite dire all of a sudden as he leans down and picks it up and kind of looks it over again to ensure, and surely enough, he recognizes it keenly. His mother had knit it for his daughter very early on, and she's had it since she was young. Never parted with the thing. So Hisoka actually kind of breaks face a bit as he turns to the others. Something is wrong.
What?
He starts kind of marching back towards them.
What is it?
This, he shows you the small stuffed thing, a little doll. This is my daughter's. My eldest. He kind of turns and looks towards the village. They would have had to pass through here, but she never parts with this. Her mother wouldn't make her either.
Hibiki's eyes widen. She keeps face, but she looks to Hisoka. This is of great concern. This is much more than we expected. We should be vigilant, but hurry. You know signs.
The king of metal as well?
No, I do not.
Over the river.
Yeah, as you get closer, all of you can probably hear, sound of industry, and you see the smoke, but...
Making weapons.
It's about as we expected. Then I suppose we should expect resistance.
Ha! We will cut them down.
Cut
Come.
down an entire village.
Hi! Of Ita?
Not right away, I think. It would not be the best decision to make. we should try to find out more about who is in charge and what is going on first, especially if Hisoka believes that one of his children and perhaps his wife have been held hostage here. Though we should not assume the worst there yet. It is possible it could have been left behind by accident.
Even that important fact aside, I would think perhaps one would pause before such an honorless act as slaughtering a village without purpose.
There, Ita! He looks like he doesn't know what you're talking about.
And he maintains face. And nonetheless, you stain your honor.
If I may interject, she looks to both Hidetaka and Hisoka. The two of you, before you spoke to the Ita when we were up and went into that mine, you had received vital information. Why do the two of you not do the same here?
I would agree. We should scout ahead, see what we can learn. I imagine they are probably under the sway of this viper. Perhaps like the others, captured and forced to work.
Then we should try to find the head of the snake and cut it off, rather than kill the ones it is coiled around.
Indeed.
Yes, this is agreeable to me. If you are willing to wait while we scout ahead, we would not be too long.
I think this would be acceptable. Ishi-sama? She glances over to Ishi.
And as you stand in the road, you guys are like, just coming into this map, probably like right there. You see from down the road, kind of emerging from one of the buildings, a small, short, wiry form in a blue cloak. And he has his hands up, almost in surrender, and starts running towards you at full speed. His voice carries over the river, and you hear him as his voice gets louder and louder. And he said, "No, no, 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 stop, 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 stop!" And eventually comes kind of within 20 yards of you and stops and has his hands up. "Oh, emissaries of Shao King, stop! No, they know not what they do. I am Karata Hisashi." And he puts himself on his knees and on the path and prostrates himself and places his hands on the ground. "Please, we beg your mercy. Oh, my brother and the otters, they know not what they do. A stout wind will bend the reeds, but soon some of them will break. Please." He kind of looks up at each of you. And Inagami Ishii as well. Inagami Ishii in particular. Seeing the trim on his kimono, on his family kind of crest and colors, he prostrates himself again. "Emissary of Shao King, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Please have mercy on our village."
Yeah, Hisoka kind of stands aside, he's letting Nishi take care of it. He's the lead.
Ishii will come up to him. "State your name again." And he gives his name. "Karata Hisashi. I am but a lowly merchant here at Kijo, but I am a man who knows how to talk and how to bargain, and it is say that I can drink with the best of them and low people. I can tell from your kimono that you are of the Inogami family of Shao King. Is that correct?" He says, "Yes." But and he kind of looks to Hidetaka for advice. Because Inagami Ishii assumes, probably rightly so, that this is a case of mistaken identity. But he looks to the left and to the right because a wise lord knows when to count on his companions for advice. And Inagami Ishii is a lord, but he is young and inexperienced.
So to clarify on a character, does Inugami Ishii step forward? Is Ishii pretending to be a merchant?
No, Hisashi.
Okay.
This is the
Hisashi.
NPC. The NPC is the merchant, yeah.
Okay, understood. I was a bit confused.
Basically, he assumes you guys are from Shao King. And Shao King was the one that kind of came down and forced them all into labor or whatever. Or at least that's
And
what you have figured out, right?
He doesn't seem to recognize Ishii at all.
He recognizes Inogami Ishii just from his kimono and that he is probably of the ruling family there.
So he's probably thinking, right, that we're sent by Shao King to
Yes.
like procure a shipment or, give them sort of orders or punish them for doing something Shao King didn't want them to do.
Exactly, 100%.
Okay.
Inogami Ishii is looking to you guys for advice on how to
Yeah,
proceed.
Hisoka looks a little bit baffled by the situation, but with nothing else just yet, he kind of steps forward. Sir, that aside, I would ask you a question.
Hi?
Hisashi, you said it was, yes?
Hi, Kurata Hisashi. He prostrates himself again on the ground, going almost in child's pose. As he rises, there is a smudge of dirt on his brow. At your service.
Yeah, and Hisoka does still flagrantly wear the the Wasp, of course, as well as the Mantis. And he looks the guy down pretty clearly right in the eye. Have you seen a woman passing through here with a child from the Wasp clan?
I myself? No, I have not. I have not seen such things. Although I am busy day to day in my shop. As I said, I am a merchant here in Shao King. And there is a small river that flows through town, and
Shimazu
busy
just
myself.
steps forward and kicks him in the side and says,
Oh!
"Where are you holding the prisoners? We wish to see them now!"
We got no prisoners!
Yeah, Hisoka
No
looks...
prisoners, Sama! Oh, help
Completely-
me! And his eyes well up as he's kicked in the testicles.
Yeah,
and
Hisoka kind
snot
of-
starts to run out his nose.
Yeah, Hisoka's gonna grab Shimizu, grab his arm and kind of push him a bit away. What are you doing?
I do not. He as you kind of grab him, he shakes his arm off and just gives you a very rueful look. I am trying to find who we are trying to find. This man.
By attacking the person that might be able to tell us. Have you no sense?
He looks down at you and says, "For a man who does not even wear a katana, you speak very brashly. Did you not
Enough!
just see?" He looks to his uncle.
Calm yourselves. This is not the time for combating one another. If you must challenge each other's honor, do it back in Icho. Goodness, the spirits. And he steps forward. Hisashi-san, please, let me help you up.
Oh! Oh! I take my punishment from the gods with as much grace as I can muster. Sama.
Let me apologize for my family member's impertinence. He is having a rather rough day. And he just looks at his nephew and looks back at Hisashi. I would like to know more about what is happening here. We are not as well informed as you might think, and we would appreciate assistance in better knowing what is happening in the town.
With that, Karada Hisashi rises. He pays special attention not to meet the steely gaze of Shimizu. In fact, he almost kind of stays at a 45-degree bow with his eyes downcast in the dirt as he addresses Hidetaka. He says, "Oh, well, I suppose even the daimyo is not all-powerful as gods and does not have eyes of an eagle, but again I must apologize for the rebellion of my brother and the people here in Kijo. Are you not from King?
There is one among us who is, but where we are from is not the issue. It is what we seek, and what information you can provide us to help bring normalcy back to this village. That should be our focus, not where we are from.
Hi, I would be glad to offer you whatever aid I am able." And he doesn't walk, but does like a very slow shuffle. He doesn't cross his feet away from Shimizu to the opposite side, putting Hidetaka between himself and the brash and contrary samurai. Actually give yourself +1 XP there, Shimizu, for playing out your contrary and actually being thematic in your treatment of these peasants in Etta.
Mm-hmm.
Hisashi is still super respectful to everybody, but he addresses Ghost now instead of you because he doesn't want to misstep. He says, "I will tell you everything I know, for it is the will of the Celestials that I do so." He continues. I am sure that with some discussion that calmer heads will prevail in the situation, but my brother, his name is Karata Torvald. He is a blacksmith in town. Not 1 month ago, he led a rebellion here. It is so that a man from King, along with others, very tough, very strong, they descended upon the town and pressed us all into service. At first we did as we were told. Farmers became blacksmiths. Weavers were taken to the mines. We even had our most cherished monk, a man by the name of the Swallow, taken away to yonder mountains. But as I said before, even a strong tree will break with a gust of wind if it becomes too powerful. And so the tempers of my brother and some men here prevailed. They killed the men of King, ran them off, and since I've taken their weapons and taken to making more. I do not know what is in my brother's mind, but I fear that he means to take on the power of King. You look wise and aged to me. I think this is folly, and I am sure you would agree.
You would be correct. I am aged, and I do think this is folly, though wise some would disagree. He scratches his chin. Your brother, does he go by any other names? Perhaps akin to a snake?
No. Although I know the one of which you speak. And he lowers his voice and looks at Shimizu, Hisoka, Hidetaka, Ishii, and Hibiki, each in the eye, before looking down to the dirt. They call him the Viper.
And does he still remain, or was he among the men that came from King?
There was a time when this all started, that he passed in and out of the village. But, as such those in power are wont to do, he did not spend too much time with us small folk. He is cloaked in black, with a face covering like the darkest of night, and upon a steed of gray and black he rides. But he is no longer here.
I see. Onizuka rubs his chin and looks to the others. And looks back to Karada. Do you believe you could convince your brother to speak reasonably with, say, some figures of authority to perhaps smooth this whole thing over?
He is my older brother, and as such, he has rarely listened to me. I am small of stature where he is tall and strong. I am a merchant, and I work with my mind, whereas he works with an anvil and hammer. His forearms are as corded wood. But if it saves the village of Kijo from the retribution of Shao King, I will do what I can to talk sense with him. Who comes with you?
Onizuka thinks on that. Say simply is a representative from Shao King. And I believe that you can convince your brother, for though he might be a man of great strength, a merchant has a mind for making a deal, and I suggest you present it as such.
What deal would this be? As long as it results in mercy for Kijo, I am all in. Although I warn you, many of the men and women here were treated very roughly by the Viper and also by Shao King.
Perhaps they will be happy to hear what offer we may bring, if they are willing to hear it. For I imagine that it would result in better treatment for your people, depending on who is in charge of Shao King when all of this is over.
Hi. Very well. Would you follow me into town?
Give us a few moments, for we must converse about the deal to present. You understand, being a merchant, that it is important to keep counsel with ones you hold dear in the matter of a deal.
Hi. I will go over here and enjoy the rushing river. Its sounds are peaceful and drown out the ringing of the anvils from inside town. And he walks over and sits down on a rock near the river, listening to the bubbling and gurgling as it runs along.
Yeah, and Onizuka turns and looks to the others. I think we should try to speak with these people. And perhaps Inugami Ishii-sama, this may be a village you can count among loyal allies to claim your realm. Though perhaps I presume too much.
Yeah, Hisoka gives a nod to that. I must agree with Hidetaka-san. I think it would be wise. They have opposed this foolish action, I suppose. This terrible treatment, and opposed going against Ichijo in the long run.
This Hibiki steps in. She seems to snap out of her thought. This was no foolish action. What happened? This was carefully planned. The ordering of the people to make weapons, forcing them into labor, having them suffer under the hand of what claims to be Ichijo. I feel as though they were spurned and inspired to do this, to overthrow the people oppressing them, to blame it on Shao King.
You think perhaps that they were lured into rebellion, so that Shao King could act?
If you think about the note, that was said. She looks to Ishi. As the summer sun rises, it brings heat to all people. They talk about them being angry, and their master, they have none. This is because they've been driven to rebellion. That this was all carefully planned for them to become angry.
I see. That makes sense then. If they were to try and rebel, Shao King would have an excuse to move their forces
Hey,
right south of Ikcho.
this is it exactly.
No one would question it. They would be just putting down a rebellion, and then they would have an excuse to move their forces closer. They would be right on our doorstep.
Hibiki takes the scroll, unrolling it and showing the rest. The poem. Yes. For who is their master? They have none. They are angry without direction. And it says, it is in this space that the wise and strong stand. It is here we stand. You are, I think, correct, Izako-san. This has all been manufactured.
Then he seems to be thinking on how could we stop this then? If they rebel, then Shao King will be able to act. Surely even our word after what has occurred may not be enough to quell this.
Nezuko rubs his chin and well, we must consider what we know. All the events that have happened leading up to now, Ishii-sama being targeted by some of his own family, Kijo being set up for rebellion, a once loyal retainer within Ikcho being slowly pitted against Ikcho's royal family. Shao King, those who are in charge of it are either maligned and intend to invade or find a cause for war, or are being manipulated into such an action.
If my opinion were of worth to you, my lord, I would suggest recruiting these villagers. If they wish to fight, let them fight for you.
I think that if a war is what they want, I do not think that we should give them a war. At least not on a battlefield front.
And if they simply charge against us, despite your courtly matters.
We will prepare. I think we should, but with these people here, they need to be told that those who came in from Shao King, they were attempting to incite them to violence. That if they continue on this path and charge to Shao King, that everything they know and love will be crushed. But Ishii-san here, he will take them under his wing and care for them like they have not been in the recent days and months.
I would agree that Ishii-sama should show them his benevolence and show them the caliber of man that we all know he is, and that would inspire loyalty and devotion from Kijo. Although your father and your family, when they hear news of such a thing, may see this as a provocation by you, I should warn.
Perhaps, but it is a duty of the Lord of the Land to see to his people. I think this a most fitting junction in this.
And if news were to be put out that the current daimyo of Shao King failed to keep control of his people, and that his heir, Ishi-sama, had to handle it for him. It would support legitimacy to Ishi's claim.
Indeed.
Perhaps show that he is a more capable ruler if Ishi-sama desires such the position now.
Before we go and antagonize the current daimyo of Shao King, I do think that we should find this Viper. I fear that they have more information, things that we are not seeing. For I do not think that we have the whole story. And I do not... I am unsure to believe whether or not the daimyo is acting in malice, or if something else is going on behind the scenes that he is unaware of.
That is possible.
Hibiki, I want to mention a few things. First of all, for Hisoka and Hidetaka, given your advantages with the common folk in these negotiations, you're going to get some bonuses. However, Hibiki, narratively, I want you to kind of lay out a devil's advocate position that is kind of pro-war and how you guys could come out ahead, because you simply have a fascination with battle.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Thinking about this, peace would be great, but how exciting would it be?
Yeah, true.
I gotta force your hand a little bit here.
Shimizu would
That's
love
okay.
to lead some troops too, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I mean, you don't have to be a hardcore advocate, but at least
Oddly
want you
enough,
to
yeah, I mean, oddly
lay
enough,
out
in
some-
this situation, Hisoka's all for it. I mean,
yeah,
he
lay out
views this as a
how this could
situation
be in
to
your
help the
favor.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Hibiki, she pauses. She thinks over just everything going on. Though, as another option, if Ishi-sama does take Kijo under his wing and instructs him to continue this effort to go against Shao King. I feel that with the aid of what we have seen in Kijo, the evidence that has been produced in Ikjo, I fear that there might be a possibility of us getting some of the other villages involved as well, if we were to come under a united front against Shao King. I think it would be possible to defeat them with more aid, if they are planning on going to war.
Indeed. Ultimately, these people serve the Emperor and the Dragon in turn. I do not think it would be unusual for us to protect them. You have every right to do so, Inugami-sama.
And these people are indeed angry and indeed looking for a fight,
I think the
which
fact
we would
that-
give it to them.
And the fact that Shao King instructed them to make weapons and work mines instead of producing food. I think that is rather telling, do you not?
But of course, this is if you want to go to war, Ishi-sama.
Hidetaka looks a bit unnerved at the idea of a war, but whatever the decision that is made, I do agree that we must know more about this Viper. I would suggest that be one of our goals in this meeting, is to see, for certainly he would have to meet with someone within the village to discuss these plans. Perhaps we will find out more about this Viper from the brother of this Hisashi-san.
Would he not come back here if we waited long enough, Hidetaka-san?
It is possible, but time is of the essence. If we are to wait here, many things could move in motion without our knowledge and work against us. Shao King will not rest so easily, especially if they figure out that Kijo intends not to follow through on their orders.
Why not ask the Eater when the last time he had seen the Viper was?
That will be the intention in this meeting, I think, as well as garnering support for Ishi-sama. If we decide that a rebellion or united front, as you say, is the best course of action.
As you discuss this, all of you actually can make me a battle roll. I just want to see what IC knowledge you would have here. Hibiki, although you're fascinated with battle, I mean, you have no clue how to.
No,
It's true.
they're fighting! Yay!
Yeah.
Is it battle intelligence or
Perception.
It's whatever the default is.
Oh wow.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a good roll, even though it didn't explode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Shimizu, as a military man, you would. I mean, this is just narratively, like, kind of coming down through and looking at the size of this village. I mean, I'm sure they're probably out-armed and out-trained and ever, but the sheer numbers involved of the villagers and stuff like that would, you're like, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll leave you back up to the role play.
Shimizu looks to Ishin. He's kind of seeing all the spears, primarily, I'm guessing, that are being made.
Yeah. Like Yari and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Ishi, you could raise quite a few Ashigaru here. It is not impossible that they would make a good fighting force if they were well trained.
Aye. But this merchant, he wants peace for his people. I must think deeply on this.
Ishi-sama, may I speak plainly to you?
Hi.
This man is a man who peddles in gold and profit, not honor. It is likely better for his business if there is peace. You are destined by the Kami to rule Shao King and to protect your name. These people in the Celestial Order are there for you to use as you wish.
Aye. If I treat them well and they serve, perhaps they will be destined to return in another life, higher upon the karmic ladder.
Aye, you could do them no greater service, my lord.
You always speak your mind, Shimizu-sama. Thank you for your counsel.
For once, I do dare to agree with Shimizu-san. I think in this case, we're the best option for these people.
Hibiki-sama, my love, will there be a conflict between duty and love in this instance? Or would you use these men as troops in the service of our future dynasty?
Hibiki thinks for a moment, fanning herself a little bit. She closes the fan, the snap, and puts it away. When you do have these troops, and they do go to war, their fighting should not be from a point of anger, like those of Shao King have attempted to fire inside of them, but from a place of honor, from a place of reclaiming their home and defeating those who would attempt to use them for their own means. They should be inspired to fight both for you and for their home. and I have the utmost confidence that you can inspire such things in them.
Hey, the common folk, the bonga, farmers, artisans, even these Eta, I will show them their place upon the celestial ladder. Servants they will remain, but serve with honor. Hibiki-sama, Hisoka-sama, and Shimizu-sama. My mind is made up, I agree with you. Now it is only for us to sway the passionate minds of these Eta.
Oh, and I was gonna say, out of character, they're not Edda, actually, are they? They're just
Some of
bonga.
them are. Some of them are.
Well, of course, yeah, there's got to be some Edda.
But he's kind of being
Like the
derogatory.
merchant.
Yeah,
the
I mean, the merchants are merchants are
They're
usually
very low, though.
yeah. The merchants
It's,
are lower
it's kind
than merchants are lower than even the farmers.
Even farmers.
Because farmers
Yeah.
are important because they feed you.
Exactly.
So I just put up
over each other.
quick and dirty social class thing. So you got the samurai, you got the kuga and buka.
Oh, that's much better, yeah. Because I've been digging through the book, because they don't specifically give you a list like that for some
Nope,
reason.
I had to make it myself because the layout of the book is bad. Farmers, greater than artisans and craftsmen, greater than merchants. That's why, the merchants, he doesn't think his brother will listen to him. And then there's the Eta with some morticians, leather workers, refuse collectors, etc. So,
Yeah, and a samurai. So, just kind of so we know, a samurai can literally go and just chop a Eta's head off, no problem, and there'd be no now a farmer or something like that is a little different because they actually are kind of considered not necessarily property, but someone who contributes to the Lord, so the Lord can be like, nah, you owe me.
I mean, they do
Whatever.
literally belong to the Lord.
Yes,
of the
they
area,
do.
though,
So you can't just go and like kill a peasant, like a farmer or somebody like that, without potential repercussions by who's ever landed is not. Ida's completely different, right? They can be killed outright with no repercussions, but
yeah, but the good thing about the system that I love is that there's so many levers you have, even just in roleplay, to push things one way or another, or provide hooks for roleplay. But
yeah, it's really good stuff.
that's as an aside. So we'll continue. So Ishii beckons Hisashi-sama back, or Hisashi back. He says, "We have conferred, and the 5 of us will accompany you into Kijo. Though I must warn you, Shimizu-sama's blade is keen, and Hisoka's bow never fails to find a mark, and Hidetaka-sama's mind is the keenest I've ever seen, and Hibiki-sama, here on my right, well, she perceives much that others do not. Nothing escapes her." And Hisashi says, "Oh, yes, indeed. Please follow me into town. I promise you that no harm will come to you. Instead, I think that you could potentially be the savior of Kijo." And you follow him, basically kind of along the river here, and you kind of go into town. As you enter town, you see more and more people going about their business, and the sound of the hammers and the anvils gets louder. The air is not 100% pristine like it typically is in the mountain valley. There's some soot on things as the furnaces and bellows work night and day to forge iron and make blades of all kinds. These were blades that initially were meant for Shao King, but now are going to, you assume, be made to supply the rebel army of Kijo. And as you walk in, this is what you see. And I'll let you roleplay for a little bit if you would like. You guys should be able to see everything, right? Yep.
As they step closer and closer towards Kijo, Hibiki takes out a small cloth, placing it over her nose, not very keen on the scent of poverty.
My.
Yeah, as you walk in too, it's like it's this guy up here is a butcher. He's butchering meat out in the open, and there are pig intestines like flopped into this barrel. And as he sees you walk into town, as he sees Inogami Ishii's garb and Shimizu's katana, he bows quickly and wraps up the meat cuts in a burlap sack and kind of runs off into one of the nearby dwellings, afraid that he offended you.
Shimizu looks appalled. Disgusting.
Hey.
Hisashi kind of returns to you. I am sorry. I apologize so much for the refuse and filth of this place. This is no palace of Ikucho. This is no Morning Frost Castle. But we do what we can to survive and to serve our lords in Shaoqing.
Hisoka actually kind of gives a nod and speaks up. I see little fault here. Simply do your duty as we do ours.
Yep, Hidetaka and Hisoka do have Hero of the People. And you may even be prone to recognize their virtues.
For one to have respect for what they do and what they believe in, one must have respect for the cleanliness of their environment.
He, of course, doesn't smile, doesn't break face, but he kind of motions almost towards the butcher's table. Of course, but some paths are through the muck, regardless of choice. That is the place.
If they would lead a life of cleanliness and honor, they would not be reborn into such filth.
And yet, their birth is to live such a life.
Because of their life, how they live it. They are the reason they have been reincarnated by the kami into such.
I suppose there is a sense to rising above. Nonetheless, one might be careful that they do not cross the karmic order in the process.
Yes, they should. Every caste should know their place.
Yes, they should as in cross the karmic order, or I assume not.
Maybe I thought you said that you should be careful not to cross the karmic order.
Oh, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
You were agreeing with him?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, you should.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got confused. I thought you were implying that they should.
No, he's implying that you should not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we go in further. Oops. My hot keys are getting crossing my streams. As you go further, you hear chink, 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 chink. As you hear kind of people, sound of footsteps and boots falling upon the earth in light armor. And you see a group of peasants wielding yari who seem to be going out to train, but they kind of run around the corner and they stop. Stop! And Hisashi kind of looks at them and says, "What are you doing here?" And their leader kind of comes forward and says, "Out of the way, gold peddler! We will not let their kind into Kijo anymore. The men from Shaoqing brought us nothing but pain, and I will die before I let them step foot upon this place again." And he takes his yari and push Karada to the side, and he falls, like his butt plops into this barrel into the chitlins. Oh! And he kind of goes forward all blustery.
What did you say with your little stick?
I say that the men and women of Kijo will no longer bow to the dogs of Shao King. You pressed us too far.
Are you gonna let him talk to you like that, Shimizu?
Hisoka actually kind of steps forward.
You
Presumably
don't,
almost
you don't
the same
have
time as
brash,
he
so
did
you
Taka.
so you don't 100%.
I have
to fight.
contrary. Yeah, this contrary.
Yeah,
I have to
contrary.
speak
I'm
my
not giving you
mind.
one.
Yeah, I have to speak
Are
my
the
mind.
negotiations going to be this short?
Please, someone else
Try to
speak.
step forward. Yeah, he says steps forward. We have heard that you suffered a great injustice. We are not here to bring you more trouble, I assure you, young man.
Yeah, Hisoka steps up as if to support him. Indeed, I think there may well be a misunderstanding.
A misunderstanding there may be. The misunderstanding is that this whelp Hisashi, this gold peddler, led you into our town.
I did not know Heinen could own something. This is your lord's town.
I will own you, samurai. I am not afraid to die.
Wait,
Hisoka kind of sighs at that.
That is good.
Hisoka had the grounds to defend the guy, and he just lost it. Hisoka can't blame Shimizu at this point. So, I mean, he can't.
But
He's kind of got his head in his hand. A sigh escapes.
if you fight here, you risk death needlessly, when there could be a greater cause for your life instead.
Inagami Ishii kind of steps forward. Hidataka, you speak the truth, Shimizu. I agree you should not suffer such dishonor. Man, come here! And the single soldier steps forward. The others, Shimizu, as you look over them, give me a check. Is there like something like how dangerous you look, or
Intimidation, I mean, but that's a low skill. I think.
yeah, it is, but it's
Battle.
more.
I think this
Battle
is kind of
could
static,
appraise.
right?
I mean, battle
I mean,
could appraise warriors.
I could
or
just
investigation.
roll my King. It's how intimidate I look or they look.
Yeah. How like you look. Yeah, let's just do that. Pretty. No, I'm sure it's going to go, but
Kenjutsu.
yeah, roll. Yep.
That's a bad roll.
And let's see what they roll here.
I might roll lucky based on what they roll. Nah.
No. They step back. They step back as they look at you and your katana. But Ishii comes forward and he says, Shimizu,
Hey.
end this man now!
No, he won't. He doesn't hesitate at all. He walks up to the guy and he'll try to draw his katana out with one swing and take the guy's head off.
You take it off and just. It's just like something out of a samurai movie as this blood sprays up. And all the commoners. And Ishii, after his show of force, says to Hidataka, now talk reason, Hidataka-sama.
I mean, Izaka bows and nods his head and steps around, being sure not to walk into too much of the blood. You have seen what has occurred. This was because of your leader's impertinence. Had he addressed us respectfully, it would have been given to him in return. We, despite this evidence to contrary, are not here to fight you or to harm you any further. We are only here to speak with Hisashi-sama's brother to resolve this issue of your village being pressed too far and mistreated. We believe that we can spurn this village towards a greater purpose and provide a greater peace through all means.
And you hear muttering going through the farmers and the others in town, and even the peasant shoulders. Torvald, you like to speak to Karata Torvald? Kitsuki, Hibiki, and Hisoka, give me your thoughts and feelings, please.
Yeah, Hisoka's not pleased with the guy getting killed, but I mean, he crossed about as many lines as he fucking could. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Hisoka's more so disappointed in the situation than anything, but nonetheless kind of keeps point, and he has, at this point, his bow drawn at the ready, just in case, given the fact that it's escalated already.
Hibiki was more disappointed that Shimizu didn't take his head earlier when he started talking. But Hibiki is very excited at the drawing of blood, though the disappointment still comes that the battle was not longer. She has the fan in front of her face at this point, and she's just fanning herself as she regains face, snapping the fan shut and putting it away. She just puts her arms into her sleeves, not looking menacing or like she's about to attack, but she surveys the area in case they decide to get more violent, or she has something prepared in case.
And Karata Hisashi comes forward at this point, saying, he kind of looks down, and he's obviously dismayed, but he does not break face. Well, he wouldn't be obviously dismayed if he doesn't break face. But he stares down blankly at the blood, and there is a almost imperceptible millimeter shrug at his shoulders, as internally he agrees with Hisoka that this brash soldier, by approaching a samurai in this way, pretty much asked for it. Indeed. I know I am but a merchant, but they would like to speak to my brother. Please let us pass. I will go to my shop and prepare what I can. Prepare what fare may be suitable for our most honored guests. And the peasant soldiers kind of part and make way for you guys to come in, as do the commoners.
Hisoka kind of takes up the rear a little bit, relatively speaking. Letting Shimizu kind of lead the way at this point with Ishii.
Yeah, Shimizu stays close to Ishii.
Yeah, just get to the well, and I'll cut and paste you guys into the next scene here. Cool. All right, so we're going to the to his little shop or whatever. He explains and says, I do not have much, but I have some rice that is seasoned with salt. and
Here's some soy sauce.
This guy must be a shit fucking merchant, huh?
And sake that you may find passable. I also have an assortment of duckling, dried fish, and salted meat. He's shitty merchant. But he's going to break out.
They don't hate him because he's a merchant. They hate him because he's trash at his job.
You suck, trash.
And so
Shimizu would be like, well, thank you for giving us this. I appreciate it.
yeah, so I want to bring you all over to his shop here. Oops. Let's find his shop. Where are we? Okay, let's go here. Should be able to see here. You guys can see everything?
Hi.
I can indeed.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I want to make a little aside that Hibiki is the creepiest character in this game.
Yeah.
By far.
What?
She's like the girlfriend that always like tries to get her boyfriend.
Right,
to fight.
yeah.
Blood. Oh my god.
Cousin fight, boyfriend fight, fight.
Yay!
Like, oh my god, look at the blood pouring out that body.
It was too quick.
She can't even fight, and she likes watching fighting.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So yeah, so like it's a little past dinner, and the sun, it's summer, so it's pretty long days, but so 6, 7, maybe even 8 o'clock at night, you walk through the town, and as rumors do, the energy of that spilled blood floods through the village and passes through the farmers and the Trask, the Ita, and everybody else, like the breeze. Everywhere you go, they seem to bow. They seem to be very respectful now of you. You do see Yari and Armor kind of gathered, as it's kind of like in a hasty effort to hide it. They know they probably can't hide it all, but they at least want to give the appearance, as people so much want to do in this culture, the appearance of at least trying to hide it from you, that they're not openly rebelling, even though it's common knowledge that they are. You walk through the town, and to the other side, you see up in the mountains there's a monastery. There's what you would expect for a town. Eventually you kind of get to an area where there's a tanner and a fletcher and a basket weaver, and Karata Hisashi eventually comes to his storefront and says, here we are, my store. Like I said, I do not have much, but what I do have is mine to offer you this evening. I will send my servant to fetch my brother if you will come inside and make yourself comfortable. Kind of walks in. I think this store is open, so you should be able to walk in here. Ooh. Anazuka is the first to walk in. As you go through the storefront, there are some vegetables up front, some cookware kind of displayed. There's a giant grain bin full of rice, and there are lots of things, for construction. Some hatchets, some shovels. Tucked underneath one of the cupboards are a bunch of yari that you see, kind of tied with a leather cord. And Karata goes to his servants. You, oi! Fetch my brother, Karata Torvald-sama. Tell him to come, that Hisashi is breaking out his finest sake tonight. That is an offer he cannot refuse. And with that, the servant disappears out the door and leaves them. He says, come and follow me. Make yourself at home. Do you have any questions? I assume my brother will be here shortly.
Oh, we're missing Ishi.
Ishi. He's on the pots and pans table. He follows him.
Hisoka kind of takes the shop in. It's been a while since he's been in any kind of proper shop. Since like heading north. So.
Yeah, I doubt Shimizu has ever been in a shop like this.
That's what servants are for.
Exactly. It's true. He dealing with like buying and selling and stuff is pretty taboo. So
Well, in regards of greed, right?
Well,
in terms of like service and stuff, even then, it's mostly dedicated to like merchants like this guy.
yep.
Yeah, so as you go in, Kurata Hisashi, he does not sit down, but instead offers you all to sit down. He goes to his cupboard. You see in his cupboard there are several casks of sake, and he prepares some cups and starts to bring them around to you, serving you, bowing, and just for fun, I'm going to do an etiquette roll.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna get this man killed because he didn't
Oh!
step 2 inches to the right.
Trained in rank 1, actually. A little less than average. He doesn't quite spill the cups, but Shimizu, as he serves you his sake, because you're the one that kicked him in the nads, I'm gonna get my teacup here. It's kind of trembling a little bit as he sets it in front of you. Oh, I am sorry. I am sorry. Before we begin, it would be nice if I knew your names. I am not familiar with all of you. Only Inogama Ishi-sama.
I am Miromoto Shimizu, Yojimbo for Ishi-sama.
Hey, it is the will of the kami for me to be at your service this evening.
Hi, you are fortunate this day.
I count myself among the very blessed to have you in my humble shop. I hope you find it to your liking.
He looks around. Not especially, but we will be here for this meeting at the very least. Show Ishi-sama all due respect.
Is it possible? I don't know, just because Hibiki's always suspicious. But maybe to do a medicine check to see if this thing's poisoned.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, cool.
I mean, Hisoka's not drinking one way or another. He's kind of standing watch.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of it, honestly.
It's not poisoned. It's, in fact, a pretty decent sake. It's so good a sake that Hidetaka, as a man of discerning tastes, I want to invoke your lecturist or your whatever it is that makes you a drunk.
Oh my.
He was doing so good.
Hibiki looks to her.
Haven't used that since like the first session.
I know.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Disadvantages.
Luxury, physical pleasure. So no,
Luxury.
I
Physical
get to
pleasuring.
choose to be drunk today. I'm still gonna drink it, but yes.
So you can choose to not. You can choose to not be drunk. Okay. So that's just the
I
board.
will be drinking. Yeah, I'm gonna be drinking though.
Okay.
That was just part of the being an alcoholic, but I am going to drink.
Is there any other role play? Otherwise, we'll kind of.
I think Hisoka's pretty much set. He's kind of taken the place in. He's fairly polite to the merchant. Of course, things are very different in Mantis territory. Merchants are like viewed as relatively important there. I mean, by comparison, at least. And a lot of lords down in Mantis territory actually act as merchants rather than having Bonga do it in their stead. So yeah, Suruchi is actually accustomed to being in merchant shops, relatively speaking. Or at least the idea of it.
Hibiki looks to Hisashi and asks, when exactly was the last time that you had witnessed the Viper here, or that he was rumored to be in town?
It was some time ago. It was, I see, perhaps the very first days of summer. He came and went quite often. I did my best to avoid him. His gaze was withering. It made me feel uncomfortable. There is something about him that I found very frightening.
Did you hear him speak at all?
Hey, but only from afar, and not details. He spoke with a hushed tones, all slithers and hisses.
But a male tone, yes.
Aye,
Good to know.
as you sip the sake, the sun continues to set and starts to grow dark outside, and there is a knock on the door. Hisashi disappears, answers it, you hear footsteps returning, and he returns with another man, who you can only assume is his brother. Let me pull him out. Rata Torvald. There you go. He arrives with Karata Torvald, and they kind of stop in the threshold of the dining area, I guess you would call it, or the tea room, where the peasant soldier was brash and haughty. Karata Torvald, Shimizu, you can tell that he's a blacksmith. He is a strong guy. He carries himself very proudly, but he also is no fool. Upon entering, he looks at each of you and gives you a extremely deep bow and comes up to 45 degrees, his eyes still trained on the floor. He says, "Karata Torvald, it is my honor to meet you. My brother Hisashi said that he would be serving sake here, but I see that I am in the company of others. I will say greatness. I do not know if my man deserved the hand he was dealt, but after seeing you, I'm sure he did."
Izuku turns, looks at Torvald.
It was unfortunate what happened between your man and my nephew, but the man lacked respect, and when you lack respect in these lands, you must be able to defend your decision with your blade, and he could not.
Aye. These peasants have had some very small amount of training. I feel that their heads grow as large as the boulders in the surrounding mountains. That man had it coming to him. He was a drunkard after all. But my brother Hisashi, now I know that I was asked here to do more than drink sake with you. I should have known. Your mind is never on the thing at hand. You always have plans within plans. Hisashi bows and excuses himself from the room. It is in my interest to look after the people of Kijo. I will leave all of you to discuss great matters while I go to the kitchen and prepare the rice.
Shimizu looks to him and says, "Do not go too far."
Aye. He gets out, and his footsteps are pretty quick leaving this place. He doesn't like to be around Shimizu if he doesn't have to.
Ishii-sama, though Torvald-san may not even touch your level of respectability, I think it may be best if he be allowed to sit at the table so that he does not have to yell across the room. Though forgive me if my suggestion seems impertinent.
Aye. Hidetaka-sama, I agree. when men speak of this sort of thing, it is best to be eye to eye. Torvald-san, sit here. And he motions kind of across the table, and he says, my good friend Shimizu will be right by your side to keep you safe, Torvald-san. He looks to Shimizu as he walks past. Yes. Because has a seat here. I am honored that you would speak to me, Inogami Ishi. He looks around. I am not foolish enough to deny what has transpired here. Do you know the long and short of it? Has my brother spilled his guts like so much rice from a barrel?
We have been informed of what has transpired, but in truth, we were aware of some circumstances before we arrived.
Oh? Enlighten me.
The mines. There were men there, forcing peasants to work. We freed those peasants from the circumstances.
Hmm? I am surprised. We thought those men and women taken to the mine. We thought our lead monk, the swallow, surely perished beneath the earth. You say this is not so?
No. If we are able to return to Kijo soon, I will bring him back with us. But that is assuming that everything here goes well at first.
Yeah, Hisoka actually gives a bit of a nod down towards Torvald. It is indeed true. What Hidetaka-san speaks is, in fact, the swallow dwells at his home.
Oh, he is a simple monk, but he is a good man, as is his boy. I would like to see him again one of these days. He has more wisdom than I could ever come up with.
I am, for what it is worth, quite saddened by the fact, I suppose, that it was necessary to cut down your man, but I do think these talks will prove quite beneficial to you and all of the people here.
I am but a lowly blacksmith in the company of the son of the daimyo of Shao King, Inogami Ishi.
Could I actually, oh sorry, I was going to ask if I might be able to do like an honesty check to convince him that we're legit to some degree, just in
Yes,
case.
sincerity.
Yeah, I will do that.
Don't mess it up again.
I've got an emphasis in sincerity, actually, so. Hey.
Yep. You guys, I mean, the fact how you handled it out front,
Yeah.
like what is he going to do, right?
Yeah.
He has to convince his men, but you did a good job of convincing his men out there too with Hidetaka's the show of force followed by the voice of reason. Karato will say, as long as my men have a way out of this mess with their honor and their skin intact, I shall have little trouble convincing them of your point of view. He actually, though, looks to his right, up at Hisaka. Those colors, from where do you hail, samurai?
I am Tsurushi Hisoka, of the Wasp clan of the Mantis. You... And Hisoka kind of looks to Inugami as if, am I fine to ask, you know, like, interrupting the proceeding, but...
He gives you a nod.
Have you seen another woman from the Wasp? With a child?
I have. She was among those we chased out of town.
Ooh.
She was not being treated unkindly either.
And Hisoka, I don't know if he'd spot it, but there's definitely a very faint break, very quickly. Just a flash of it before his face kind of settles again as he looks to the guy. What do you mean you chased them out of town? For what purpose?
Can you give me a etiquette check, please?
For sure.
Yep. He does not notice that you break face. We chased them out of town with the rest of the occupying forces from Shao King. They were among them. The woman was the wife of one of the soldiers. I simply recognize the colors as your own. Perhaps some relative?
Indeed. Relative. Who is this one you speak of? This soldier.
Oh. His name is... His name is...
Look at name generator.
John Cena.
His name is... Ichikawa Madoka. He was one of the foremen here. He pressed our people very hard. He was a cruel man, although I dare say he showed great affection to that woman and even her child. That made me sick.
Yeah, Hisoka is quite curious. You saw them.
Indeed. But why are you so concerned with this? Are we not here to speak of mutual agreements and military matters?
Indeed, but I must ask a final question, if you will. Do you have any idea where they may have gone?
I do not know where they fled to. We chased them out of town with our Yari, and they fled into the hills. I can only suppose that they all went back to Shao King.
Hisoka gives a small nod and is silent.
I think the others know who this person is. I'm gonna have you decrease your honor a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Your honor goes down by 0.2.
Who?
Yours.
Mine?
Yes.
Why? What?
Because we know it's your wife.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
wife.
Although we don't know anything about the situation.
And
We
you
can
know it's your wife.
assume.
You know it's your wife. And you know your wife is at least being perceived as the wife of another man, and your daughter is perceiving as the daughter of another guy.
Yes.
Interesting, yes. How much? You said put 0.2?
Yeah, 0.2.
Hidetaka allows that to pass for a second, and then he swallows, looks back at Torvald. Torvald-san, back to the matter at hand. We understand that Shao King orders came in to have you make weapons, press you into service. Do you know the names of any of these men that provided the orders? Did it come from the daimyo himself?
I do not know if it came from the daimyo himself, but like you, I suppose that I hear rumors coming from Shao King. He looks to Ishii. Yeah. Inogama Ishii-sama. Do I have permission to speak plainly? Ishii nods. If we are to get to the bottom of this mystery, we shall not mince words, Torvald-san. Torvald nods. Unfortunately, rumor has passed from the north that the daimyo's wife has died. There is also rumors that he may soon remarry or has married and has born a child. This woman has many sons and daughters already. Many of them were among the company that occupied Kijo. Most notably, a man by the name of Inogami Tai. Oh, he was quick-witted and his sword was keen. But our numbers were too great, and he was pushed out of town with the rest of them.
Hibiki immediately snaps her head to Ishi, leaning in a bit quietly so Hidetaka and Ishi can hear. We must venture to the hills quickly. I am sure Hisoka could attempt to track, but if we can prove that Inogami Tai was among them, this would be great for us.
Hisoka nods at this. Yes, I would agree. If we can track them down, that would be good.
Track them down? This was many weeks ago. You would be a legendary tracker indeed.
There is no need to track them. They will have returned to King by now. I would suspect, anyway. This confirms our suspicion, Ishi-sama. Well, here is what we have discussed to propose, Torvald-san. You have made many weapons, and we can tell there is much anger for what has happened on accounts of those who came from King. My lord Ishi-sama does not throw in his lot with them. He is a man of character, evidenced by the way that we have approached today. We did not come in making all these demands, telling you must serve and do this. It was only to have a meeting with you, to discuss the findings of what has occurred, and to recognize the transgressions that are being committed at least in the name of the daimyo, even if erroneously. That man, if he cannot control the council that he keeps, how can he be expected to provide for those under his control? Ishi-sama, and he gestures towards Ishi, Ishi-sama can provide. He is a true samurai. And make no mistake, he will be the daimyo one day of these lands. It would be much more soon were he to have the aid of this village and those strong arms wielding spears. That would help propel Ishi-sama. And while it may lead to conflict in the short term, your village would have peace in the long term.
Torvald considers the words. As you speak, has you introduced yourself yet? I don't think you have. If you'll speak, gentlemen, I listen to your words. They carry great wisdom, and it makes me think back to a story my father told me about a man south of here. A man by the name of Hidetaka, who led peasants to war. It did not turn out so well for them. What assurances can you give me that if we throw our lot in with Ishi, Although I know Ishii-sama is honorable, that the fate of war would turn against us and leave us all dead. Of course, these questions are not mine to ask. My heart is already yours, but I also must convince my men.
Hisoka actually kind of chime in there. It is not as if Ishii-sama acts alone. To the north, it is known that there are stirrings within King of nefarious plots. I reckon we would go to war well equipped with allies.
What Hisoka-sama says is true, and I would confirm your suspicions as well. I am Hidetaka, formerly Kitsuki Hidetaka, now Onizuka Hidetaka, for my failures in the south. I must correct the story that you were told. In fact, what would be said is that the peasants made out quite well, for not only did many of them survive after my invasion to put down their rebellion, but I in fact had samurai help retill the fields that were damaged in the fighting. And as you can see, gestures himself, I was quite punished for my actions in dishonoring those brave young samurai, so...
You give me a sincerity check, and because of your past and your people's hero, give yourself a +1 rolled bonus.
Nice. Yeah, Hisoka hasn't actually heard this full story before, so he kind of looks at Hidetaka with a bit of an eye, kind of almost surprised, but respectful, more so than before even.
Ah, nice. Oh, very well. Inogama Ishii-sama, you have chosen both lovely and wise advisors. I shall return to my home this night. In the morning, I shall meet with the troops and the lieutenants, we loosely call them those, of our ragtag peasant army. We will be at the service of Inogama Ishii and Ikujo. Hi! He kind of stands and puts his fist over his heart. If nobody does anything, he'll leave.
Oh, yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yutaka will nod approvingly, but that's... Oh, one more.
Before you go, Torvald-san, one final question. I do not wish to take up too much more of your time.
Aye?
There was a man who your brother mentioned that we have also been made aware of before our arrival. He is known as the Viper.
Yes, I know of this man. He is tall and rides upon a stallion the color of steel.
Do you know anything else about this man? Where he comes from? Who he serves?
I know little, but I will tell you what I do know. I have suspicions that he is somehow related or involved with Inogami Tai. They seem to be quite close when they were here, although Tai is obviously the weaker. And you know how much he already talked up Tai, right?
This is something to consider. Someone of Tai's position would have few superior to him in his own court. Perhaps this is an outsider with a different agenda
and finds Tai convenient.
That is perhaps the case. But if you pursue the Viper, I must warn you. I do not know if I believe it, but my men tell tales of his unnatural power. They say that fear flows before him and things die. Probably tricks he plays to keep his men in line. But I figure you should know nonetheless.
Nah, we have a greater
Yes, okay.
Shugenja than him. And he nods to Hibiki.
Yeah, Hisoka kind of puts an eye to Hibiki when the guy mentions the powers. Kind of like, that doesn't sound great.
Yeah, can I get spellcraft roll? Because I feel like I know what it might be.
Yeah, actually give me a spellcraft roll and... what do you guys think? Are you guys going to spend the night here? I want to...
Probably.
I don't
Is it-
see
if you go-
not to.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
I'm
yeah,
not
make me a
sleeping
spellcraft roll.
outside.
No.
Yeah.
Woo! I
Better-
guess I know
Better
that.
a merchant's place than a...
Yeah.
on
Would
the
there be
floor,
a
I guess.
check to make to discern whether this sounds like it might be something to do with like Shadowlands corruption or something?
I think that's might be spellcraft.
I would. That would be. There's a Shadowlands lore,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
a
a
lore.
low skill, so use at your own risk, I suppose.
So what are you in particular wondering?
I was just curious, given the mantis's relation to the crab and stuff, if he would,
Yeah, you can roll the
Make this
lore.
sound
You can
good.
roll the lore. And Hibiki, what were you trying to figure out?
If I can, I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. It's I have something against it.
Wives' tales, Aki. Wives' tales.
Something.
makes
I
sense.
have to look in my. I don't know if it's Curse of the Seven Thunders. There's a spell that basically affects those who are tainted. I don't know. It's like certain dark spells that I think you can use if you have some sort of taint. I don't know.
It's that. It's that.
That's okay.
Don't presume
Yeah.
too much of the GM of creating people that I go with the concept first and build later. But yes, probably some sort of magic that is not wholesome.
Yeah, Hibiki frowns. You see that she goes deep into thought, placing a hand on her chin, looking to the fire in front of her.
Yeah, and Hibiki, you have just something in the pit of your stomach just turns cold. You have read similar lore, and as you sleep tonight, you feel a tickling in the back of your mind. As your gift of foresight, you start to feel that it might bestow upon you a vision.
Oh.
Onizuka will nod to Torvald, and he'll get up and get a cup of sake and hand it to him. I did not see you drink and enjoy a fine cup of this good sake. And you hand it to him and bow. I bow to you and thank you for your aid and your promise of support for Lord Ishi-sama, who will eventually be Ishidono.
Aye. Torvald bows, making sure that it's deeper than Hidetaka's. Might not be hard to do, given his old age. Creaking back. Torvald bows and does drink the sake. No, it is my honor, Hidetaka-sama, to be in the presence of one of such legendary, he kind of looks you up and down, stature as yourself is more than I bargained for tonight. I do have children at home, and they will be happy to hear the tale of Hidetaka. It is told in these parts, but to meet a man that was involved, well, it is the stuff of legends. Thank you.
Thank you. And he nods and he will take his seat back. The mat.
Torvald leaves, and as soon as he leaves, Hisashi enters, and he says, "Oh, well, my brother, as he left, He was wearing a smile. That is not a common sight for Torvald. He is as dour as the night, typically.
I personally do think things went quite well. I suppose we partly have you to thank for arranging this meeting.
Do not thank me. If the village of Kijo does not undergo any further disgrace, I shall be satisfied. Ah, but look at this. The night grows deep.
Indeed, I think it is time for everyone to consider getting important sleep for the morrow, as the task only grows more arduous as the days go on. Onizuka finishes his cup of sake and stretches. I will defer to Ishii-sama as well as everyone else before selecting the place here of which I will sleep.
Not very many bedrooms here.
Just
Looking
the
around,
one.
just the one.
I'm assuming I know
they'd be
who will
expected
sleep
to
in the
provide-
bedroom, and
Yeah,
it would be two
they'd be-
people from this group. One of them is not a player.
Is that dishonorable, though?
I mean,
I don't think so, honestly.
Shimizu is gonna
No.
say anything?
yeah,
I'll
not,
make it
not really.
legal.
Oh, alright.
I really don't think it is.
Huzzah!
Well, no, I don't. So Ishii-sama extends his right hand to Hibiki. Hibiki-sama, my love. Come with me. We shall enjoy this night.
Hey. She stands, taking Ishii's hand, and she doesn't look to the others at all, but she follows Ishii into the back.
And if anybody has anything else, the scene will fade and we'll kind of move. We'll do a Witcher style. They're like this caressing.
In the bathtub.
Unicorn comes up.
There's there's undressing of the robe, the shot from behind, and then it fades back in later at night, and Hibiki is actually asleep, and so is Imagami. And I'll let you guys roleplay first before we get to Hibiki's vision. Unless you just want to sleep, just crash somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, Hisoka. Yeah, I mean, presumably they'd like arrange another building or some such. I mean, that's kind of their duty anyway when a samurai comes into town. So Hisoka will, wait for them to arrange a building and then he'll go sleep there.
Yeah, Shimizu would kind of grumbles to himself and walks over to where Ishii's staying. He knows he's gonna have to like sleep outside his door because he doesn't really trust these people. So he looks to Hidetaka. This is the unfortunate job of a Yojimbo.
You must always take honor in everything you do, nephew. Is that not the way of a samurai, to serve his lord?
He's obviously teasing his nephew.
He frowns deeply. I suppose so, uncle.
Do not overworry yourself too much. We have turned this place from an enemy-occupied town into a close ally in a mere few hours. Perhaps I could take your mind off of this duty that you must perform with a few games of Go.
Uncle, you wish to lose at Go again to me? I have been defeating you and Hibiki-san too easily.
You know of what they say, nephew. Even the blind squirrel finds the walnut twice a day.
I had not heard that saying.
I just made it up. So, go? Yes or no?
Hisoka hasn't quite left yet. He's still waiting for a house to get arranged. I suppose I might join the two of you.
Shimizu just nods. Anything is better than going in there and... Well, sushi screens are not so... soundproof.
I see you have gained some wisdom of Soshi screens in your time as a youth, nephew. Begin to unpack his go board.
You hear just from that room, and then you hear Ishi go, oh, oh, oh. They roll over in bed and knock over a jar.
Oh my god.
I suggest rapid conversation as we play.
With raised voices, uncle.
Naturally, nephew. Naturally.
Well, let's see if I can learn to do a bit better this time. It was disappointing.
Guys, pour pottery, man.
Not the geisha, it's a collectible.
Like Hibiki all over the place.
There's gonna be a fucking spider in one of them, and it's gonna like scare the shit out
Got
of
her
me.
up against the wall.
Yeah, that's what the screaming's for.
Oh, yeah, that's
up against the rice paper. You see her.
You can see a butt outline.
I gotta stop this.
The next day, the rice paper is like sweat sweat stained.
God. All right, stop. Play your go game.
I will win again, uncle.
Famous last words from many opponents before you.
I'm about to sleep anyway, so I'm gonna use a void point. Oh.
Sure, I'll use a void point. Well, nah, that's cheap. Hold on, let me find games. Where is it? Games. There it is. I'm not terrible.
Oh shit!
I reclaim my championship kimono.
So role play how you win this game, then go on to sleep, and we'll continue.
Very tightly contested game until the move that nephew never expects. The 1 in 1,000 move I never get to play. Back him into a corner and say, so now, in a situation such as this one, what do you do? There is only one answer, and it is not one that you will enjoy.
He's looking over all the moves. He's pretty confident. He has been more brash than usual over the last few days. Not like wanting to fight people brash, but after the victory over whatever his name was, Satoshi.
Poor
yeah,
guy. Fuck.
and he plays that way, just all out offense, and maybe Hidetaka's expecting it, and he backs him in the corner at last and asks him the question. I do not think I have a move, uncle.
Correct. You lose. And he points out the board. And, but you are getting better. That is good. Go has many transferable skills as a samurai.
Yes, I believe you, uncle. They say that leading men in battle is similar to Go.
Indeed. That is how I in fact became so good at Go. I was not so bad at general not long ago, you know.
Hey, you are wise, uncle.
But now I am drunk.
He shrugs. We cannot all be perfect.
No. More likely we are going to be imperfect than ever be perfect. But it is our imperfections that make us who we are.
I do try to keep my imperfections to a minimum, uncle.
On the contrary, nephew, your brashness is one of the best things about you.
Well, I have not heard that said before.
It is a trait that accompanies honesty. Honesty is a very important virtue, not just for samurai, but for anyone.
I do not believe Hisoka-san agrees in your assessment of me, uncle. Kenny gives him a sidelong look.
Yeah, Hisoka's kind of listening along. He seems to still be almost kind of taking in the various moves. He hasn't been doing quite well the last few times we played. What was that? Sorry, I was a bit distracted trying to... And you hear the sound, of course, again, kind of come through the walls there. Pay attention to the game.
Yes, I did say that I believed you thought my brashness was not a virtue as uncle sees it.
I suppose that depends on how you use it. As of yet, I cannot quite agree.
Well, for some, brashness is useful in telling the truth. Sometimes it is good to be brash. In some situations, not so much. But in other times, being too honest, that can be an issue. That perhaps makes me look not so well to say so, but it is the truth.
I suppose you are not wrong. Many have given me such advice over the years. But nonetheless, here I stand, a man of at least some respect.
Indeed. And for all my wisdom, that is something that many people do not have for me. Rightly so, in fact. But I digress. I do not wish to feel pitied. It would appear that I will find no challenge among my opponents tonight, so we should perhaps get some sleep and allow you both to ruminate on your failures in the arena of Go.
Indeed. I must dream upon it. With Hisoka kind of stands, Shisashi kind of goes to show him to the place that they've set up for him.
Yeah, Shimizu just kind of grumbles. Good night, uncle. I will be standing watch.
Sleep well, Shimizu.
He grumbles a bit at that. How long will this take?
It's round two.
It depends. I think he wants at least one son, so it'll be a while.
So, why don't you, Hisoka, give yourself a +1 bonus roleplay XP for the little scene between you and Torvald about your bee of a wife, and Hidetaka, give yourself the +1. I think everybody should have a +1 now. For your negotiations with Torvald and the story of the OG Hidetaka. And that scene fades as you all kind of go into bed. Next scene zooms into the bedroom. Inigama Ishii is sound asleep, while Hibiki is on his left side, and she kind of has like a little bit of sweat broken out upon her brow, not from the nocturnal activities, but from this dream that she is having. Her mind is filled with visions, both mystic and mundane, and I'll let her role play what's going through her mind as the spirit realm and the mundane world become one in her dream.
Within the dream itself is Hibiki. She tosses and turns slightly, sweat beading on her brow, as within her dream there is the image of a great many of the clans, each with their representation. The crab, the unicorn, the dragon, and so on. And as the dragon flies around in the air, within it shows a heart once pure and strongly beating. Soon a blemish forms on it, and with each beating of the heart it grows larger and larger, the blackness within its heart growing, almost like a festering wound. And the dream zooms into that wound itself and turns into a large crater. Within that crater, see the valley with Kijo in the very center of it. On one side, to the north, Ikjo, and to the south, Shao King, each almost staring each other down, looking down upon Kijo. There is visions opposite, within this craterous valley, armies gathered on each side, still with Kijo in the middle. Above the crater, above Shao King, above Ikjo, small strings are visible, attached to each and every soldier, attached to the buildings, attached to everything around it. The dream pans up, dark figure with long, pointed, almost bony fingers. Fingers dance around. A illuminated smile with cracked teeth shows as this witch-fingered thing plays almost with the armies, the people, like small marionettes. And the showing, though it's above, shows far, far into the castle in the west part of their world. And as Hibiki is in her fits, sweating, soaking through the pillow, eventually she wakes up with a start, a gasp. She sits up, panting, holding her head, trying to analyze this dream, this vision that has come to her in the night.
And as you wake, Hibiki, the first rays of dawn are flowing through the window. Nobody's even necessarily awake yet. And you wake up from your sleep, and what's going through your mind?
Much is going through Hibiki's mind at this point. It's all compiled right now. It's all layered on top of each other. But as she breathes, sits to the side of the bed, her feet touching the floor, she finally slows her breath, smoothing out her hair, wiping her brow, gathering herself, trying to figure out exactly what this meant. As she thinks about her dream, she thinks about what it means. Her eyes flicker open. She doesn't wake Ishii yet, but moving to this small writing desk here, though some of the ornamentation is broken, maybe a few of the ink wells, there's one that's still maintained. She takes a piece of parchment off of it and just starts tracking the dream, writing it down, what happened, to remember it, remember the vision, so she can tell the rest in the morning once they're all finally awake.
And as you start to scribble that down, you hear in the distance an alarm bell start to ring. After that, the servant and Kurata Hisashi break into the sleeping area, and they're like, quick, out of bed, come outside, all of you, wake up! There was no time for etiquette.
Hibiki turns to the door, then looks down to Ishii, grabbing him and shaking him. Ishii!
What is it, Hibiki-sama?
I'm not sure. We might be under attack.
Come.
Hey.
And he gathers his kimono and grabs his katana off the nightstand and dashes outside. Looks to all of you guys. What are you guys doing?
Hisoka's in a separate building by this point, sleeping.
Yeah.
So he'd be... I mean, as soon as the alarm goes off, he's strapping on his armor.
Yeah, so everybody... Hisoka and Tabiki kind of follow them outside. Everybody kind of comes outside. Let me get you all in a row here. As you go outside, like all the town is out there kind of filtering out at dawn, and you kind of look up into the hills and just very slowly the horns of the helmet first, then the red banners of Xiao King, and then the horses kind of crest over one of the hills just outside of Kijo. And I'll let you guys role play, and then I think I'm going to end it.
As they step outside, Hibiki just sliding on the rest of her kimono as they head out. She stares up the hill towards the enemies. First, her skin pales seeing this, but then face hardens, and mostly muttering under her breath, but most likely audible to the rest. So this is where the manipulations lead them.
Hisoka kind of... You guys see him kind of come out of the building kind of next door, basically. Getting his kind of cloak wrapped up around his neck and stuff again. His bow at the ready, an arrow drawn as he sees the fortress up above. He kind of sees everyone else and rushes over. Well then, what should we do?
Shimizu, is it? Can I tell like how many troops they have compared to us?
Give me a battle roll.
Alright, I'm gonna use a void point for this one.
Yeah. How close are these guys?
They're far away. But as you look, though, the guy in the middle with the giant horn helmet, he starts to kind of saunter down the hill. Still like 100 yards away, real far. And he kind of calls out. He says, "Men and women of Kijo, prepare to die!" And
oh, go ahead.
yeah, you know that you guys, probably about 250 of them. The village would outnumber them. Quite a few.
Yeah. Hisoka kind of takes in. How far away would you say this guy is? Like a good like.
He's 100 yards away.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna take a pot shot at him.
Are you serious? Okay.
Oh no.
I'm
Hibiki
gonna.
might try to stop.
What?
Well, I mean, they're literally charging down to attack us at this point, right? He's like prepare to die, and they're charging. Yeah.
No, they're not charging. He's coming down.
Is he? He's not coming down peacefully, though. I assume.
You don't know that. I'll let you do whatever you want to do in character.
I mean, it doesn't seem like there's anything else. He kind of looks to Inugami Ishii and Ishii-sama. Do I have your permission? As he kind of puts the arrow down by the string, seemingly getting ready to draw.
Wait. Hisoka-san.
Ishii-sama would urge caution. No, not yet. Not yet. We will ride out and meet them first.
Ishii-sama, I could convince him to meet me in a duel.
If they have prepared a force like this, I doubt they would have any reason.
Yes, but it would besmirch his honor, perhaps, if he did not and lower the morale of his troops as a coward.
You're not wrong.
I agree with Ishi-sama. We should ride out and meet whatever parley they wish to enact, for it will allow us time to gather the troops in this village to face off against our foe. Rash action may prompt a quick assault, and we are ill-prepared at this time for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of a little bit retcon. Instead of prepared to die, he would have said he was going to say Inagami Ishii, but he would think in character that he's dead. He wouldn't know that Ishii's there.
Oh yeah.
But he would have
I
said,
don't know.
Kurata Torvald! Come out now! And yeah, with that discussion and you guys talking, that's where we'll end it.
Alrighty.
I didn't mean to give the impression that...
Oh no, yeah, I thought it was like
Yeah, the way I
literally
phrased
prepare
it,
to die, we're coming for you.
the way I
Yeah.
phrased it, and the way your tokens are at the bottom of the screen, it kind of makes it feel like they're just going to charge
Oh,
down
yeah,
and
I
kill you.
assumed they were like marching, literally, to attack. Yeah.
Nope, that's it for tonight. Short. Here we go. Another good one, I think.